day after Russia and the US held talks on Moscow's security proposals in Geneva. Now, the meeting did not reach a breakthrough. Interfax quoted the Western Military District saying exercises would take place in Somlensk region near Belarusian border and in the Voronezh, Belgorodo and Bryansk regions closer to Ukraine. Now, it also said that 300 units of military hardware would be involved. The exercise is aimed at practicing fire from armored vehicles and firearms, organizing marches during active enemy sabotage, reconnaissance activity, and equipping strongholds.
In recent months, they have done so in a manner that was clearly not an attempt to be furtive or stealthy. It's hard to be stealthy when you're moving 100,000 forces along an internationally recognized borders. That underscores and undergirds our concern. And the fact that this was done and is being done in an effort to intimidate and an effort to coerce.
Meanwhile, Russia is all set to lay out security demands today. The recent talks between the US and Russia show that the two sides have some major differences to bridge. NATO diplomats say the Western alliance is ready to negotiate with Moscow on military drills. They aim to avoid accidental clashes that could spark conflict. However, NATO allies also say that some of the demands put forward by Russia in December last year are unacceptable. Now, this includes calls to scale back alliance's activity and promising not to take in new members. Meanwhile, the US and Ukraine say that they remain united in seeking to defuse the standoff with Moscow through diplomacy. Dmytro Kuleba spoke with Secretary of State Antony Blinken. He said that the two nations are working closely to deter Russian aggression. Russia has made the West nervous by stationing troops near Ukraine. The country has also demanded Washington to never let Ukraine join NATO or to expand military alliance eastward. Now, this is a request the United States refuses to accept. Washington says that Moscow has stationed as many as 100,000 troops. The U.S. has urged Russia to reverse the military buildup. The West fears that Russia is planning a new invasion against Ukraine. However, Moscow says that it has no intention of launching an attack and that it has every right to move its soldiers around within its own territory. Now, we are being joined by Dr. Anna Mativa, who is a Russian affairs analyst. For more on this story, thank you for being with us on this broadcast. Now, 3,000 Russian troops conducting live fire exercises yesterday. This just a day after talks between the US and Russia on the security proposal in Geneva. What do we make of these latest actions by Russia?
Russia is trying to send a geopolitical signal to the West that it is not going when NATO has been expanding close to Russian borders, for instance, in the Baltic states, and Russia could not really do anything about it rather than just raising its voice and saying, we're unhappy. The Western reply was, okay, you're unhappy, that's your problem. Now Russia thinks that they need to actually make their point in much more forceful way. So it's nothing to do with actual preparation for any action in Ukraine. I think that it's really off the mark. But it is something which should make the United States, which is the primary audience, and its European allies to take Russian concerns seriously.
Right. Now, the US and NATO have said that some of Russia's demands are unacceptable, such as Washington never letting Ukraine join NATO or to expand the military alliance eastwards. Take us through the significance of these demands by Russia. And further, is the promise of tough sanctions enough of a deterrent?
Yes, they are very significant because Russia wants to determine the future European security order, and which ultimately